Welcome back, everybody. John Lewis, a congressman and civil rights leader, changed America forever with his bravery, passion, and intellect. And now his story comes to life in a musical at the Mosaic Theater. I am here with the director, playwright, and composer of the musical, Reginald Douglas, Psalmayene 24, and Kokayi. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Yes, and how special to have truly like the team behind this. I know there are many more people involved, but I'm so excited to talk with you all. I want to start with the title, which is Young John Lewis, Prodigy of Protest. Where did that name come from?
Right, so that was a name that sort of encapsulated what John Lewis's spirit was, particularly during the time period of the play, of the musical that we're exploring. So we explore how he really woke up to his power as an activist, and it's framed by the lynching of Emmett Till and the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr.
Right, and Psalm, speaking of which, this covers kind of John Lewis's younger life, like 18 to 28.
That's right.
And so talk about crafting the story surrounding those years. What was that like to do the research, which I imagine there was a lot of?
Oh man, the research was incredible. The most valuable research that I did was actually talking to people who knew John Lewis. I mean, much of his history, you can go on Wikipedia and find that out, but I really wanted to discover things about John that people did, that you can't read about, that people really don't know. So talking to people was really a way for me to get a chance to really connect with his spirit and his personality.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the music. This is kind of a hip-hop based musical, and Kokayi, you are behind this. So this is your first, is this your first theater production?
Actually, second.
Second, okay, there we go. I love that. And we got to shout out, Grammy nominated as well. Got to shout that out. But talk about crafting the music for this musical.
What we wanted to do, well, when I spoke to Psalm, we talked about it being a hip-hop based musical. But I started thinking about black music overall, right? And the contributions that, you know, African Americans have made to music, the musical landscape that we find in America. And so I felt like what would be better than to think about what would protest music sound like then if it was made today. And then all of the music that exists throughout the diaspora and how to include that within it in a tasteful way, for sure.
It sounds like such a rich musical, and we're going to get to hear some of the music later, which I'm really excited about. But Reg, I wanted to talk to you about the fact that you all worked with John Lewis's family for this musical. Is that right?
We did. So as Psalm said, you know, what excites me as a director and artistic director of Mosaic Theater is telling stories, yes, about history, but looking at the humanity of these heroes and these icons. And that's what Psalm's done so beautifully with the book and Kokayi's music, which goes from blues to jazz to hip-hop to gospel to R&B. There's even reggae in it now. So it's a full musical spectrum. At the core of that is the humans who led this movement, including John Lewis. And so it's been an honor to be able to work with the John and Lillian Miles Lewis Foundation on this project, as well as the John Lewis Legacy Institute in Troy, Alabama, where he was born. And ththey'll be our special guest at opening night.
Oh, that is so exciting. And speaking of which, I want to talk about the Reflection series going on at Mosaic right now. Can you speak on that? What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, this play, you'll hear a taste of it with Latrice Pace's beautiful singing, but it's meant to wake audiences up. We want to galvanize people in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, a call to action and a call to, as John Lewis would say, good trouble. And so we did a series of events from October through May. We've gone to all 8 wards of D.C., as well as Maryland, Virginia partners, 50 organizations coming together to say, how can we activate good trouble through the community? Play readings, poetry readings, panel discussions. We even have members of SNCC coming to the theater to talk about their experience. People who are in the play, like Joan Mulholland, will be sitting in the audience to take in their story and then share their life insights with audiences.
That is history. That's so cool. And I feel like,
history, exactly.
I mean, living history. That is. It's like the epitome of DC, I feel like. And you mentioned Good Trouble, which is, you know, John Lewis's famous and powerful words. What does Good Trouble mean in the context of this musical?
Oh my goodness. Well, it means really knowing that love conquers all. We talk about nonviolent direct action in the piece, and that is not only not responding with violence, but not having the desire to respond with violence, and then loving those who are trying to do harm to you, which is an incredible, incredible sort of aspiration.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, and theater is a place where good trouble can happen because you bring different people from all different perspectives, communities, neighborhoods into one place to take in a story. And this story makes you dance, it makes you laugh, and it sparks joy. And I think right now that's the way we can also celebrate the power of the DMV. It's with some joyful gathering, and that's what this show does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I feel like you have to. The one thing that I always recognize when I hear John Lewis say good trouble is that trouble is still in there.
Yeah.
It means to speak up. It means to call others to action. It means to do something when you see something is wrong. So that's what I appreciate about John, and the fact that he chose a specific type of path to move in order to protest and move against those who were trying to keep his people down. And so I think about it in the same way. Like he started some trouble, right? It just so happened to be good.
Love it, love it. Well, thank you all so much for talking with me. It was so great to chat. We have the website on the screen right now where you can get tickets. Now, people, the production starts March 26th, is that right?
Yeah, March 26th, and I'm thrilled to be able to say that over 15 performances are already sold out.
Oh my gosh.
We've extended to May 3rd, so grab your tickets fast. This is a great show for middle school age and up, so we want everyone to come out and experience a new musical, sparking some good trouble in the city.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much.